All right, chapter 27. But to return to my own method, when after hearing and understanding the nature of a cause, I proceed to examine the subject matter of it. I settle nothing until I have ascertained to what point my whole speech, bearing immediately on the question in case, must be directed. I then very diligently consider two other points. The one, how to recommend myself or those for whom I plead; the other, how to sway the minds of those before whom I speak to that which I desire. Thus, the whole business of speaking rests upon three things for success in persuasion: that we prove, that we maintain to be true, that we conciliate those who hear, that we produce in their minds whatever feeling or cause may require. For the purpose of proof, two kinds of matter present themselves to the orator: one consisting of such things as are not invented by him, but as appertaining to the cause are judiciously treated by him, as deeds, testimonies, covenants, contracts, examinations, laws, acts of the Senate, precedents, decrees, opinions of lawyers, and whatever else is not found out by the orator, but brought under his notice by the cause and by his clients; the other consisting entirely in the orator's own reasoning and arguments, so that as to the former head, he has only to handle the arguments with which he is furnished; as to the later, to invent arguments likewise. Those who profess to teach eloquence, after dividing causes into several kinds, suggest a number of arguments for each kind, which method, though it may be better adapted to the instruction of youth, in order that when a case is proposed to them, they may have something to which they may refer, and from whence they may draw forth arguments ready prepared. Yet it shows a slowness of mind to pursue the, what is that word, revelays, instead of seeking for the fountainhead, and it becomes our age and experience to derive what we want to know from the source, and to ascertain the spring from which everything proceeds. But that first kind of matters which are brought before the orator ought to be the constant subject of our contemplation for general practice in affairs of that nature. For in support of deeds and against them, for and against evidence, for and against examinations by torture, and other subjects of that sort, we usually speak either of each kind in general and abstractedly, or as confined to particular occasions, persons, and causes. In such commonplaces, I speak to you, Cota and Sulpicius, you ought to keep ready and prepared with much study and meditation. It would occupy too much time at present to show by what means we should confirm or invalidate testimony, deeds, and examinations. These matters are all to be attained with a moderate share of capacity, though with very great practice, and they require art and instruction only, so far as they should be illustrated with certain embellishments of language. So also those which are of the other kind, and which proceed wholly from the orator, are not difficult of invention, but require perspicuous and correct exposition. As these two things, therefore, are the objects of inquiry in cases: first, what we shall say, and next, how we shall say it. The former, which seems to be wholly concerned with art, though it does indeed require some art, is yet an affair of but ordinary understanding, namely, to see what ought to be said. The latter is the department in which the divine power and excellence of the orator is seen. I mean, in delivering what is to be said with elegance, copiousness, and variety of language. 28. The former part, then, since you have once declared it to be your pleasure, I will not refuse to finish off and complete. How far I shall succeed, you will best judge, and show, and shall show, from what topics of speech must be furnished in order to effect these three objects which alone have power to persuade, namely, that the minds of the audience be conciliated, informed, and moved, for these are the three. But how they should be illustrated, there is one present who can instruct us all, one who first introduced this excellence into our practice, who principally improved it, who alone has brought it to perfection. For I think, Catullus, and I will say this without any dread of a suspicion of flattery, that there is no orator at all more eminent than ordinary, either Grecian or Roman, that our age has produced, whom I have not heard often and attentively, and therefore there is any ability in me As I may now presume to hope, since you, men of such talents, take so much trouble in giving me audience, it arises from this that no orator ever delivered anything in more hearing which did not sink deeply into my memory, and I, such as I am, and as far as I have capacity to form judgment, having heard all orators without any hesitation decide and pronounce this, that none of them had so many and excellent accomplishments in speaking as are in Crassus. On which account, if you also are of the same opinion, it will not, as I think, be an just partition, if when I shall have given birth and education and strength to this orator whom I am forming, as is my design, I deliver him to Crassus to be furnished with apparel and ornaments. Crassus then said, do you rather, Antonius, go on as you have commended, for it is not the part of a good or liberal parent not to clothe and adorn him whom he has engendered and brought up, especially as you cannot deny that you are wealthy enough. For what grace, what power, what spirit, what dignity was wanting to that orator who, at the close of a speech, did not hesitate to call forth his accused client, though of consular rank, and to tear open his garment, and to expose to the judges the scars on the breast of the old commander, who also, when he defended a seditious madman, Sulpicius, here being the accuser, did not hesitate to speak in favor of sedition itself, and to demonstrate with the utmost power of language that many popular insurrections are just for which nobody could be accountable, adding that many seditions had occurred to the benefit of the commonwealth, as when the kings were expelled and when the power of the tribunes was established, and that the sedition of Norbanus, proceeding from the grief of the citizens and their hatred to Capio, who had lost the army, could not possibly be restrained, and was blown up into a flame by a just indignation. Could this so hazardous a topic be nope? Could this so hazardous a topic, so unprecedented, so delicate, so new, be handled without an incredible force and power of eloquence? What shall I say of the compassion excited by Cnaeus Manlius, or that in favor of Quintus Rex? What of other innumerable instances in which it was not that extraordinary acuteness which everybody allows you that was most conspicuous, but it was those very qualities which you now ascribe to me that were always eminent and excellent in you?